Today, we're going to dive into a really fundamental question about neurodivergent care. Why is making it personal so incredibly important? And maybe even more exciting, what does a future that actually adapts to our unique brains really truly look like? So, let me just ask you this straight up. Does the world feel like it was built for your brain? For so many of us, the answer is just a flat out no. And this feeling, this misalignment, it's not just some small inconvenience. It's the root cause of so many of the challenges we face day in and day out.
So where does that feeling even come from? Well, a huge part of it starts with our systems of care. You see, for way too long, the whole approach has been to design everything for this mythical average person, and then just expect the rest of us to somehow fit in. It's a model that completely misses the point about how incredibly different all of our brains are.
And this, right here, this is the absolute core of the problem. When you build everything for some theoretical average, you're basically guaranteeing that it's going to fail anyone who doesn't fit into that tiny little box. It creates this constant grinding friction, like trying to jam a star-shaped peg into a square hole. It just doesn't work. Okay, here's a fantastic way to picture this. Just imagine someone forced you to wear the exact same pair of shoes for everything you do. I mean, running a marathon, then walking on the beach, then kicking back at home. All in the same shoes. It sounds ridiculous, right? But honestly, that's a perfect metaphor for what these rigid, one-size-fits-all systems feel like for us. We just need the right tools for the right situation. So this mismatch, this friction, it has very real, tangible consequences. And it leads to something that I bet a lot of you have felt firsthand, even if you didn't have a name for it. It's called the invisible load. So what is this invisible load we're talking about? Well, think of it as that constant draining effort, that background process that's always running, just trying to fit in. It's all that extra mental and emotional energy, that battery power you have to spend on things like decoding social cues, or managing sensory overload, or just performing normalcy in a world that wasn't built for you. And this load is made up of so many different pieces. You've got the absolute exhaustion that comes from masking, right? From hiding who you really are just to meet other people's expectations. Then there's the stress of always having to adapt in environments that are just plain overwhelming. And when you add it all up, it often leads to miscommunications and, a much, much higher risk of hitting total burnout. Okay, so we've talked about the problem, but just knowing the problem exists is only step one. So what's the alternative? Let's talk about a different kind of future. A future where we stop trying to force people to change, and instead, we build systems that actually adapt to us. And this is really the big what if. What if care wasn't about fitting you into a box? I mean, seriously, what if instead of trying to shove all the beautiful diversity of our brains into these tiny, rigid boxes, we built systems that were flexible, responsive, actually tailored to you as an individual?
And I want to be clear, this isn't just some abstract business idea. This whole vision comes directly from personal, lived experience. It's fueled by this deep, deep belief that we all deserve better, that every single one of us, no matter our neurotype, deserves systems that actually support us, not systems that grind us down.
So the big goal here, the long-term vision, is a future device, currently called NeuroCharge. The idea is for it to gather real-time data from your body, things like your heart rate variability, stuff that can tell us when your stress levels are climbing. The whole point is to shift from being reactive, waiting for a problem, to being proactive, to have a system that can understand what you need before you even get close to burnout. Now, that future is super exciting, but it's still being built. So that brings up a really important question. What can you do right now? How can you empower yourself today in a world that, hasn't quite caught up yet? And that really is the key question, isn't it? Because, let's face it, we can't always just sit around and wait for the world to change. Self-advocacy is an incredibly powerful skill, but man, it can be so hard to know where to even begin or what words to use. Well, to help answer that question and bridge that gap between the reality of today and the vision for tomorrow, that's exactly why the Neuro Advocate Hub app was created. Think of it as a free toolkit designed to give you practical, hands-on resources to help you advocate for yourself. So what's inside? Okay, 3 main things. First, it can actually generate scripts for you for those really tough conversations. Second, it helps you build something called an accommodations passport, a simple document that lays out what helps you thrive. And third, and this is pretty cool, you can practice those conversations with an AI role-play coach, so you can build up your confidence before you have to do it for real. Okay, so let's bring this all home. Let's talk about how we build this future together. Because this can't be a solo mission, right? This is something that needs a whole community, all of our voices, pushing in the same direction. So how can you get involved? Well, a great first step is to just download the free app and start empowering yourself. But it goes beyond that. You can join the growing community, share your experiences, and make sure your voice is heard as these tools are being built. Honestly, your input is what helps us make this better for everyone. Because at the end of the day, this is about so much more than just technology. It's about building a movement. It's about all of us coming together to create a collective voice that can help shape a future where our needs are finally understood, a world that's more accommodating and more humane for every single one of us. So I want to leave you with this one last question to think about. What if our world actually valued every mind? What would our society, our workplaces, our care systems look like if they genuinely celebrated every type of brain for its unique strengths and perspectives? That's the future we're working towards.